Dr. Jessica Costa, the Director for Multilingual Learner Support with Instruction Partners, and I'm joined by my colleague, Jose.
Hey y'all, Jose Guadarrama here, Director of Instructional Support for Early Literacy at Instruction Partners.
And today we're talking about classroom-based strategies for ensuring multilingual learners develop foundational skills and have exceptional experiences becoming readers. Strategy 2 is to integrate multimodal supports, for example, peer interactions, visuals, and movements, to focus on the development of oral language skills and vocabulary to help students make meaning of words. One of the ways we can put this strategy into action practically is by asking open-ended questions that the students can discuss with peers. So for example, prompting the students to make a personal connection and or a prediction, that they can retell the narratives and the stories that we're doing during read aloud, or that they're comparing stories, that they can share their ideas about and reactions to the text that we're reading, and so on. So Jose, can you give us some specific examples for your classroom?
Absolutely, and this example really builds on things I did as a teacher, and I know that we all do, and our teacher was really promoting that peer-to-peer discussion. So for example, in my first grade class, if we were reading a decodable and we came across the word stream, I would take this opportunity to quickly teach students what a stream is. I'd say something like, a stream is like a river, but much smaller. Here's a picture of a stream. Here's a picture of a river. Point to the stream. Point to the river. Think about what you would do in a stream. Put your finger on your nose when you have an idea. When I say go, turn and tell your neighbor, and then you'll switch. And so I'll have students, again, engage in that peer-to-peer conversation. I'd listen in to some responses and prepare some students to share whole group. That way, students, again, are interacting with the meaning of the word stream, making it a connection to a visual, making it a personal connection, talking about that with each other, and then again, elevating some voices, whole group. This entire process would take no more than 45 seconds.
What a short time for such a large impact in really building student language. Just to extend that, a couple of ideas based on student levels and where you are in the lesson, maybe even providing some different sentence frames to get students to start to learn new sentence structure and syntax and some grammatical pieces right here in this lesson. So in a stream, I would, or I like to blank in the stream. And so just setting students up to use more sophisticated and more complex language as we work across these lessons. And that might feel more connected if I'm in a language development setting where we are intentionally thinking about increasing the proficiency in terms of complexity, but it could quickly fit in as a support in the lesson that you described and still wouldn't take much more time. And then one of the things that we can do to promote active listening is, you mentioned kind of bringing it back whole group, maybe asking what their partners shared. And so now they're practicing a new sentence or idea that really held them accountable for being that active listener. And so just different tweaks we can make. We know our students and what they need. And while curriculum may have some ideas and we're sharing some ideas, you can always enhance that with your own style and really to, again, accelerate language by this explicit focus. Now, I will say, I think one of the hard parts, Jose, is as we think about students who might even be at the beginning levels of proficiency, there might be a lot of words in the decodables or our lists that the students may not know the meaning of. And so how do you pick the ones where we really want to take that pause to make meaning, as you described, so that we still are adhering to the focus of the lesson for the foundational skills?
Yeah, great question. And the first inclination that I had was like, I want to teach all of it. But realistically, what's going to get us further, what will get me and my students further in terms of developing vocabulary meaningfully, is really to select those words that are going to reappear across lessons that may not be highlighted by the lessons themselves. This is where something like lesson internalization and unit internalization play a really big role in helping us as teachers proactively prepare to have these really quick and meaningful experiences for language and vocabulary development. And I just want to stamp that this is an example of how teachers really, need to exercise our full discretion, balancing making meaning of those unknown high impact words while making sure that we are really preserving the purpose of that unit and or lesson.
Another way that we would implement strategy 2 is by including visual supports and or movements to introduce and reinforce vocabulary. Would you be able to share any additional classroom examples with us?
Sure. And again, this is something that we as teachers do. And I think the idea here is just really doing it more purposely with understanding on how far it can take students that are multilingual. Earlier, I talked about, showing a picture of the stream and the river. And, this could also look like, if I'm again sticking with the example of the letter T, pointing at my teeth when I'm saying, when I'm actually using that word teeth, or grabbing some tape off of my desk, and showing them the tape and really emphasizing the t sound. When introducing words that start with the sound T makes in English, I can use emotion to represent that word. So for example, I could say telephone, or I guess now I would do this, given where we are in the world, technology, maybe aging myself there a little bit. But again, the point here is, just kind of connecting real life objects, or again, just kind of that movement piece. If curriculum calls for out of context practice, like word sorts, again, easy way here to add some images like the stream and river example to accompany those words to reinforce that, to reinforce the groups of letters and words that they're learning to decode and attach them to meaning. Again, this can be as easy as pulling images from cards that the curriculum may already have, or Google, like really using that tool if that is something that we have available in our classrooms, knowing that not everybody has those things available. And again, I want to stamp as teachers, we don't have endless amounts of time. And so again, this is where pre-planning really becomes very important. But again, this is something that should take, in terms of planning, no more than 3 minutes, if that.
And I think the idea of we want to expose children so that they recognize I'm learning to read this word because this word has meaning, and I might want to use this word and read this word in the future. And so that's why specifically when we're thinking about out of context work, which we know some of our curriculum materials does call for, that we're intentional in making sure that they see the purpose and they connect it to meaning. So even if it's a sheet with words they're cutting and sorting by, let's say, the letter, a letter combination or a specific letter at the beginning, the onset of a word, then they still can put that with meaning. I might not, or I wouldn't expect them to start using that word necessarily in their conversations, but with the more exposure they have to that, they know that they're making meaning, the greater possibility is that we will be able to add it to their linguistic or language repertoire. So thank you, Jose, for sharing those classroom examples with us. For anyone watching who wants to hear more classroom-based strategies for centering multilingual learners in foundational skills instruction, please watch our other videos and download the resource linked in the description in this video.